Oh my gosh. Boom. That difference is outrageous. You may have seen I recently got into MSG. You make things taste nice. You're my best friend. But it really has opened my mind to what is possible with this little white powder. I got over the stigma pretty easily. They say MSG is bad for you, and in fact it can have side effects like delaying your thought process. I mean, I haven't seen any side effects. It's fair to say since these videos I've been begging Mrs. Barry to put MSG in pretty much anything.
No.
You know what, if she's not gonna let me put it in our everyday cooking, then I'm jolly well gonna do it myself. Today we're gonna ask that amazing question that we all wanna ask. No, not that one. No, not that one either. Is it better with MSG? I'm putting MSG, on everything. All right, it's time for breakfast. So I've got a massive jar of coffee. Thanks to my recent Costco membership, Mrs. B and I do like coffee, but we are like proper basic. Sometimes we get the cafetiere out, but I'm not gonna lie to you folks, generally most mornings, we just bung in some instant coffee. Yeah, so I've got my little MSG pot, which I actually did also call umami powder to try and convince Mrs. B, but I can't do it. So a little shimmy of that in there, a little bit different to adding sugar. So sometimes I would have milk in my coffee, but we're having milk on our cereal because this is breakfast with Barry. Fortified with vitamins and iron and MSG. Okay. Whoa. Well, it's done something. I've talked about in the past how it grabs flavors and lifts it all. The corn just still tastes the same, but it's the milk. I am so glad I didn't put it in that coffee because it's made the milk taste like a broth. I feel like I've just eaten cornflake ramen. Oh. Ugh. That is not a great start. That does not work. What is this gonna do to the coffee? Oh gosh. Oh, that is revolting. It's made it taste soupy again, but even more like bitter. I genuinely think I could probably make some sort of gravy with that. But there doesn't appear to be anything like decent for the MSG to really like latch into and enhance. Oh gosh. I had a backup for breakfast, so this is sort of mid-morning brunch snacky toast. Toast is toast. All right, let's make some toast. I don't know, this is starting to feel like quite a bad idea. Why not? This was not planned, but why not? Oh, it's something to do whilst the toast cooks, isn't it? Oh, it tastes like chicken soup. Have we just created the MSG diet or something? Ooh, right. So a little shimmy on there, and then another side without. Right, surely this is gonna be better than cornflakes. All right, I'm gonna try it without first of all. As I think out loud, I don't really tend to have toast with nothing on. That has got to be up there with the definition of potentially bland food. But that's actually made it quite tasty. But interestingly, different to the way the water and the milk did, sort of like less soupy, but sort of like more toasty. It's made the toast, and I feel like I'm using this word when I'm using MSG more often, savorier. Okay, that's interesting, but with the butter seeped into it as well, the saltiness of the butter perhaps, more flavour it to work with. That is outrageous. That tastes like the butter has just had like a glow up. You can still taste the toast, but it's actually completely, whereas that's imparted into the bread, this is all focused on the butter. If this toast was like the internet, it's gone from basically being like a dial-up connection to fibre optic. So we are gonna make a Caesar salad dressing with the MSG in it. So I've got some Parmesan, got some Dijon mustard, an egg yolk, a lemon, we'll use probably half the juice of that. This is 1 garlic clove, it looks like more than that, I just sea-sawed it a minute ago. Got some decent quality olive oil. And the reason I think this is gonna work really, really well is, oh my gosh, anchovy fillets, which have natural umami in it. So it's like a natural MSG, except for one batch, we're gonna add some of that in with it too. Between you and I think this is gonna be amazing. Maybe just to help the one without the MSG, a bit of pepper. Right, so half of this we're gonna take out. Ooh, God, that packs a punch. You can really taste the saltiness from the anchovy there. And my initial thoughts are that's actually overwhelming some of the other ingredients we put in there. All right, so maybe like half a teaspoon. All right, so we've got 2 small bowls here, both filled with some romaine lettuce that I just sliced up. Actually, I haven't tried this yet, have I? Hang on. Ooh. It wasn't just anchovies, it was the parmesan as well. That was umami too, right? Like the dressing alone, obviously spread on there, it will dilute down a little bit, but side by side, it's definitely more rounded. The anchovy has gone from being a dominant flavor. I can taste the parmesan, I can taste the pepper, even hints of garlic. It's almost like in the world of sound, like an equalizer. It's done that to the dressing. All right, so I've got some cooked chicken chunks, some croutons, some parmesan, but then also another little sprinkle of the MSG. This is going to be very interesting indeed. Okay, non-MSG, and remember we found out when you put the sort of MSG sauces through pasta and things, it can dilute the flavor. You can make this wonderful sauce and it gets diluted, and the leaves maybe have done that. Oh, that's really, really nice. That's really good. I think the extra topping of parmesan at the end really helps that. There is maybe a slight salty element to it, but I think that's just more of an instinct that I know that from tasting it on its own. But I would definitely have that again. There is nothing wrong with that. The MSG, which the irony of having the croutons where we put it on toast earlier, we've got MSG spun into that dressing, but also on the top with that parmesan fresh coating. Oh my gosh. Boom. Boom. Damn, that's good. Yes. This is not sponsored, like some sort of MSG god hasn't got in touch and gone, "Oh, Bowie," that's how they talk. All right? "Oh, Bowie, can you do MSG video for us?" 100%, if I go back to this one now, yeah, straight away I can taste the salt, and borderline, it doesn't actually taste as nice at all. Yeah, like I've literally jumped into the ocean and just started eating seaweed. That is salty. But before I had that, I liked it. This is the point. This is the crazy thing. Honestly, umami powder, equalizing the flavors, however we've summarized it so far, I'm actually relieved that that is such a good comparison. And in total, I think I put about half a teaspoon on in the dressing and on top, but it's made a massive, like, boom! That difference is outrageous. All right, so it's afternoon snack time, and some of you guys are probably wondering, when I'm finished filming, normally it's probably like late afternoon, I always, for some reason, have an apple, and I love a Golden Delicious. I think my record was something like 16 in 5 days, and sometimes I'll have a tangerine, so we've got some citrus fruit and an apple, but I've never had MSG on it. And perhaps I never will again. Now this Apple kitchen gadget is older than Chloe, and she is now 55. I guess the good thing with the apple is it should just soak in like sugar. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's on there, all right. And I'm just gonna have to like, oh gosh. It's on the tangerine as well. Let's go for the apple first. Ugh. Ugh. At first it tasted like a fruit that wanted to be like a roast dinner or something. But then all of a sudden the sweet notes came back and it tasted like a little bit like, you know, you get really cheap bubble gum. A little bit like that. This tangerine segment, I'm worried that I'm gonna bite into it and the citrus is just gonna go crazy. Oh, oh wow. It tastes like a Fanta that wants to be a stir fry. It's taken that real heavy citrus zing out. There's still sweetness, but it's lowered down the sourness a little bit. That actually tastes all right. Don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna be doing that all the time, but that is actually a surprising result that the orange, which I thought would be far worse, is better, like way better than something that almost tastes like it's been dunked in gravy powder. I've definitely had worse today. So it's time for dinner before our dessert, which I think is gonna be insane. But dinner will also do a comparison. Right, so main, we're gonna do a fish pie. Boston absolutely loves, there's a dog food that does a fish pie, although I'm sure he would probably like this. I'm not giving Boston MSG. Dump in some frozen seafood fish mix, add some milk on top, and then we shove it onto our hob, warming it up. Trying to stir it at first is a little bit aggressive, but basically we wanna warm that through so the fish breaks down and get it up to a simmer. All right, I was a bit worried at first, but it's simmering now. After about 5 minutes of it bubbling away, we're gonna pour that through into a sieve. That way the fish stays to one side, but we can use that infused milk. That is some fishy stock. Grab another saucepan and chuck in some butter. Get that nice and melted. Once it is, add in the flour and whisk it through, cooking it for a minute or two. We then pour in that reserved fishy milk, whisking it all the way through and bring it up to a simmer so it thickens. Dump the fish back in, which is probably very confused right now. Add in some peas, some chopped parsley, and also season with some salt and some pepper. That smells amazing. I then divided the mixture between 2 small oven-proof dishes, and one of them, it was time to stir in the MSG. With some mashed potato dumped and then scratched on top with a fork and finishing with some cheese, it was ready to go in the oven. All right, MSG is on the left. And after 25 minutes, oh my gosh, and here it is. This is the MSG one. Let's try them both. I'm expecting a pretty big difference with this, and I've only put it in the sauce, not on the cheesy topping. When we first looked at the MSG, we talked about like the umami and the flavor that you can drive into it, just some sort of charring and browning things. We've got that on both as well. That is delicious. That is proper comfort food. It's 3 in the afternoon. I've still got the dessert to make. I've had a blooming good day. There's a mild flavour. Nothing's really jumping out. The potato's lovely. There's some cheesy notes. The fish is fine. It's not too strong. There's a little bit of seasoning. Nothing is standing out. It just works really well. So what will the MSG have done? Oh my word. Oh wow. That's actually a much more minimal difference than I thought. And maybe this sort of makes sense in the fact that, like with the salad, the dish there, it kind of like brought all the flavors level. I feel like in this, it already was. That's really strange because the flavor is pretty much the same. It's just that if it was an amp, like Spinal Tap reference, like this is like maybe 8 and that's been turned up to 11. When you go back, the difference is crazy. That is so much more mellow and mild. In fact, you can taste the milk even more so in this. Yeah, okay, so the flavors in this are mellow, they're consistent, and you know, maybe the milky profile is just kind of like diluting it all. But it's absolutely fine, you're getting all those other elements. Whereas this is kind of letting all of those little flavors like spike very, very periodically as you eat it. It just feels like the non-MSG one, we need to flavor it and it has to work a bit harder, whereas this, all the effort you've already put in, it just elevates it. And that, at first I was thinking that's quite a minor difference. In isolation, if you just had that for your dinner, you wouldn't mind, but that is good, that is better. It really is. Now, time for our finale and dessert. All right, so last up on Barry's MSG tasting menu, I don't know if I'm gonna call it that, but it's definitely been a journey today. We're going to do a chocolate cake. And although we're gonna have 2 sponges, I'm not gonna put MSG in one and one in the other. We all know what a chocolate cake tastes like. So according to Google, cocoa already has natural glutamates, which is why chocolate tastes so deep and rich. Adding MSG is like giving those glutamates reinforcements. It doesn't make it salty, it's just gonna amplify those existing cocoa notes. So there's like umami in cocoa. We're gonna add more umami into the cocoa, which is potentially gonna make our chocolate cake more chocolatier. Wow. So let's shimmy in. It just looks like sugar. Some of that MSG. So it's just a standard chocolate cake mix. The cocoa is gonna love this, hopefully. The eggs, I don't know. The butter probably will. We already saw that on the toast. And I am gonna make some buttercream in a minute whilst these are baking. So we will be able to compare that. We'll see you in about 20 minutes. Bye-bye. All right, I'm not sure if this is right, but there is like some bumps on the top of the sponge. Maybe the MSG is doing some sort of crazy like chemical reaction, but they are smoothing out. It's too late to turn back now. They actually look absolutely fine. It's just chocolate cake, but now these are cooling down, we can make our buttercream. Here is cocoa powder, and the majority of that is icing sugar. No MSG yet, because I want to try a little bit, just a little bit on its own. That looks good. And just whilst I was waiting for those cakes to cool, I just grated up some white chocolate to make some spirals to hopefully make the cake look a little fancier. Like 2 little specks of chocolate frosting. I'm not gonna need that much, just a smidgen. I just wanna see if this makes much of a difference. And as we've been finding, going back to the non-MSG really makes a difference. Wow, that tastes like the most richest buttercream I have ever made in my life. There's some serious depth to that. Ooh. It's definitely not added that savouriness. It's almost added this like richer depth, like caramel vibe to it. But it could just be the frosting. No, that's so strange. I can taste the butter in that more with no MSG in it. The cocoa flavour is there, but the overriding taste is the butter. Whereas that just tasted like I had the most like finest gourmet chocolate bar ever in buttercream form. That is definitely going in the frosting. Yeah, the intensity levels. So that's a teaspoon there. Went through the roof. That was one of the biggest differences today. Alrighty, that looks pretty good. And I'm just gonna put on these pencil shavings. So that is an MSG chocolate cake. Let's try it. Oh, it's a delicate cake. Nothing too crazy about the batter, just your classic. Ooh. Folks, it's 5:05. Generally, it already is my dinner time, but I've had my fish pie. I've been in here all day, and after this, we should be able to answer that question. Is it better with MSG? Yes, Coco. Oh my gosh. Ironically, that's the name of my little sister's dog. I need to try the sponge on its own because the frosting, I'm getting the taste of the frosting. It's almost like Nutella vibes, like a rich toasted hazelnut vibe somehow. Oh wow. It's taken, which is the opposite of the tangerine where it took the sourness away and the sweetness heightened with the cake. It's reduced the sweetness and that intensity of the cocoa in the sponge. Combined with the frosting, that is absolutely incredible. This chocolate cake is fresh in my mind because I made it for a birthday the other day. And I'm sorry for everyone that had a slice of that. It did not taste like that. Wow. It does. In cocoa, it has genuinely elevated the richness, the intensity, and everything you want in a chocolate cake. So a little recap on today's menu. The coffee was interesting. Definitely on the savory side, as were the cornflakes, which kind of reminded me of a soup. The toast with the butter was truly out of this world. We randomly added it to a glass of water halfway through and potentially created the MSG gravy diet. Not so good, but the Caesar salad was phenomenal. Boom! The apple was extremely quirky, but that tangerine, that did actually surprise me. And the fish pie, again in isolation, the flavors seem mellow, but that MSG one, when you went back to it, it just raised everything up a notch. And finally, the MSG chocolate cake, as we've just seen, the intensity of that cocoa has just smashed through the flavor roof. It has gone berserk, and I absolutely loved it in that. That was a massive, massive surprise. So a real combination of failures, experiments, and also some taste successes today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Check out the other MSG videos if you wish. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. And a massive thank you to the names on the screen right now that are Patreon members that help support the running costs of the channel, because even cake to make is expensive, but doing so many recipes like we have today, it's massively appreciated. Maybe I'll send you guys some MSG. Cheers guys, see you later.